Okay, so you want to own an automobile workshop. Buy a building, hire some mechanics, fix cars all day, and watch the money roll in. Here is what most people picture. A few guys in overalls, some tools on a pegboard, cars rolling in broken, rolling out fixed, and the owner sitting in a glass office counting a very comfortable pile of cash. After all, have you seen what garages charge for an oil change these days? $90 for oil and a filter. Surely that money has to end up somewhere. Here is the truth. The United States alone has roughly 160,000 auto repair establishments, generating combined annual revenue of about $115 billion. And yet the average shop owner, after paying for everything, frequently keeps somewhere between 10 and 20 cents of every dollar that walks through the door. Some months, less than that. The question is not whether the money is there. It clearly is. The question is where it goes before it reaches the owner. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly where, and why one bad month can undo 6 good ones. Before you spend a single dollar, understand that the words automobile workshop cover an enormous range of very different businesses, each with completely different economics. The neighborhood garage, the one tucked behind the gas station run by a guy named Dave, serves local residents with older, cheaper cars. Dave does oil changes, brakes, maybe the occasional exhaust job. His profit margin sits somewhere between 6 and 10% of revenue because his competition is every other Dave within a 5-mile radius. Then there is the independent workshop. This is the mid-range player. Multiple bays, a few mechanics, everything from brake pads to engine work. These shops typically keep 10 to 19% in net profit when they are well run. The specialist luxury workshop is an entirely different world. It services high-end European brands: BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, Ferrari. These shops can clear profit margins above 20% because their customers do not shop on price. They shop on trust and expertise. Then you have dealership service centers, collision repair shops, tire and alignment specialists, and performance tuning shops. Each one operates with a completely different customer, a completely different cost structure, and a completely different way of making money. What they all share is this: fixing cars is the visible part of the business. The invisible part, inventory, labor efficiency, customer relationships, equipment depreciation, cash flow management, is what actually determines whether the owner gets rich or goes broke. Before you take in a single customer, before a single car rolls onto your property, you need to spend a significant amount of money on the physical space itself. You have two choices. You either buy commercial property or you lease it. Most new shop owners lease because buying commercial real estate in a location with enough traffic to sustain a workshop is extraordinarily expensive, and location matters enormously. A shop positioned on a high-visibility road with steady daily traffic will generate up to 30% more walk-in business than an identical shop hidden inside an industrial park 2 streets over. Same quality of work, same prices. The one people can see makes more money. That is not opinion. It is just how customer acquisition works when your industry relies heavily on people noticing you as they drive by. In the United States, leasing commercial space for automotive use in mid-market cities like Austin, Texas, or Miami, Florida typically runs between $30 and $40 per square foot annually. In major metropolitan areas, that number climbs. A 10-bay workshop covering 3,000 square feet in a reasonable suburban corridor could easily cost between $90,000 and $120,000 per year just in rent, before you do a single thing inside the space. Once you have the space, you still need to make it actually function as a workshop. That means reinforced concrete flooring capable of bearing the weight of multiple hydraulic lifts. It means upgrading the electrical system to handle the heavy draw equipment that a commercial shop runs all day. It means installing an industrial-grade air compressor system, because nearly every tool a mechanic uses runs on compressed air. It means a proper waste oil containment and disposal system, because the Environmental Protection Agency, and its equivalent in the United Kingdom, the Environment Agency, does not allow you to just pour used motor oil down the drain. There are fines for that, and they are not small. Add in a customer waiting area, a parts storage room, basic office setup, and signage, and you are looking at, by the time everything is built out, a total startup investment for a medium-sized shop of between $211,000 and $654,000. That is the realistic range established from data across more than 2,000 actual mechanic shop startups. And that does not include inventory, operating capital, or the cost of keeping the lights on for the first 6 months while you build a customer base. People tend to underestimate equipment costs badly. They think about a wrench set and a floor jack. What they actually need looks very different. Each hydraulic vehicle lift, the kind that raises a car off the ground so a mechanic can work underneath it, costs between $4,000 and $15,000 per unit, depending on load capacity and type. A professional shop with 6 to 8 service bays needs multiple lifts because each lift is the entire productive capacity of one bay. When the lift is not in use, the bay generates zero revenue. A proper diagnostic scanner, not the cheap one you plug into your own car's port to clear a warning light, but a professional-grade tool capable of communicating with every module in a modern vehicle, running live data tests, and programming replacement components, costs between $5,000 and $25,000. And unlike a lift, which will last 15 to 20 years, diagnostic equipment becomes outdated relatively quickly as manufacturers release new vehicle architectures. A tire changer costs between $5,000 and $20,000. A wheel balancer runs between $7,000 and $25,000. An air conditioning service machine, needed because modern refrigerants like R1234 cannot legally be vented into the atmosphere and must be recovered with specialized equipment, costs between $3,500 and $8,000. Then there are the brand-specific tools. If you plan to work on certain German cars, certain Japanese models, or any late-model vehicle with specialized fasteners and timing systems, you need proprietary tooling that the manufacturer sells separately. This alone can run between $10,000 and $30,000. Add it all up for a properly equipped 6-bay shop, and you are looking at an equipment budget that quickly reaches $150,000 or more before you account for the ongoing cost of software subscriptions that keep your diagnostic tools current. This is not optional spending. A modern vehicle is essentially a computer on wheels. The average passenger car today communicates across multiple electronic networks using dozens of individual control modules that govern everything from the engine and transmission to the seat position memory and the lane-keeping cameras. A shop that cannot read and communicate with those systems cannot fix modern cars. And a shop that cannot fix modern cars does not stay in business long. Here is where the numbers become particularly important, and where many shop owners get into serious trouble. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median annual salary for an automotive service technician in the United States as of May 2025 was $50,620. Master technicians, the ones with full certification across all vehicle systems, command between $60,000 and $85,000 per year, with top earners in high-demand metro areas reaching well beyond that. But that salary number is not what the technician actually costs you. On top of base wages, you pay the employer's share of payroll taxes, around 7.65% for Social Security and Medicare alone. You pay workers' compensation insurance, which carries a high rate for automotive occupations because the job involves physical risk. You provide health insurance. You may offer a retirement matching contribution. You pay for ongoing training and certification because automotive technology moves fast, and a technician who stopped learning 3 years ago cannot service a current model vehicle efficiently. When you add all of those costs together, a technician earning $30 an hour, about $62,000 a year in base pay, actually costs the business closer to $45 per productive hour. That is not $45 per hour they are on the clock. It is $45 per hour they are actually turning wrenches and generating billable revenue. The difference matters because technicians are not productive every minute of every paid day. They spend time waiting for parts deliveries. They spend time looking for tools. They attend brief shop meetings. They do administrative work that cannot be billed to a customer. A well-managed shop aims for 90% technician productivity, meaning for every 10 hours a technician is on the clock, 9 hours of work are actually billed to customers. Many shops fall significantly short of that. When productivity drops to 70%, the math changes dramatically. The same technician generating the same hourly cost is now producing less billable revenue per dollar spent. That gap comes directly out of the owner's profit. And this is before you factor in turnover. Experienced mechanics are loyal to their reputation, not to a building. An established master technician often brings a book of loyal customers when they join a shop. When they leave, those customers sometimes follow. Bad hiring decisions do not just cost in wages, they cost in comeback repairs, warranty disputes, and online reviews that live forever. A workshop generates revenue through 2 primary channels, labor and parts. Understanding how those two work together is the entire game. Nearly half of all American auto repair shops charge between $120 and $159 per labor hour. According to the 2025 State of General Auto Repair Shops report from Parts Tech, which surveyed 752 shops. Higher-end shops in major metropolitan areas push toward $175 and beyond, but the posted hourly rate is not what you actually earn per hour. Your effective labor rate, the real revenue per billed clock hour, after accounting for technician inefficiency, Uncharged diagnostic time and warranty repairs is almost always lower. If your posted rate is $150, but your technicians are only 70% efficient, you are effectively earning $105 per productive hour. The gap between what you charge and what you collect is where many shops quietly lose money without realizing it. Parts are the other half. Shops buy parts from wholesale distributors at one price and sell them to customers at a higher price. The markup on parts is where significant gross profit lies, typically between 40 and 60% gross margin on parts sold. An oil filter that costs a shop $3 gets billed to the customer at $7 or $8. A set of brake pads purchased for $40 gets sold for $80 to $90. The most profitable repairs are not the quick ones. Diagnostics, the act of identifying exactly what is wrong with the vehicle, generate excellent margins because the primary input is skilled technician time, and there are essentially no parts costs. Suspension overhauls and brake service combine labor-intensive work with parts kits that carry healthy markups. Timing belt replacements, which require significant time and specialized tools, generate substantial revenue per job. Engine and transmission work generates high absolute dollar amounts per repair order. The least profitable, tires. Shops typically clear only 10 to 15% gross margin on tire sales because tire pricing is heavily commoditized and customers comparison shop aggressively online. Many shops view tires as a gateway service, a way to get a vehicle into the bay and identify higher margin brake, suspension, and alignment work. A 6-bay shop servicing 2.2 vehicles per bay per day. The industry average per the Parts Tech 2025 report processes roughly 286 vehicles per month. At an average repair order value of $300 to $400, that shop generates between $85,000 and $115,000 monthly. Whether that becomes profit or disappears into expenses is entirely a management question. The most financially underrated part of owning an automobile workshop is also the least dramatic. Oil changes. A single oil change generates a modest ticket. But think about what comes with it. When a customer trusts your shop enough to return for a routine oil change every 5,000 to 10,000 miles, they are returning at minimum twice a year, possibly 3 or 4 times. Each visit is a chance to perform a multi-point inspection, identify upcoming maintenance needs, and schedule future work. A customer who came in for an $80 oil change today might generate a $1,200 suspension job in 6 months because your technician spotted worn control arm bushings during the inspection. This is why smart workshops view oil changes not as a profit item but as a customer retention tool. The oil change gets the car in the door. The inspection builds the pipeline of future work. The future work is where the real money lives. Services like brake fluid flushes every 2 years, coolant exchanges every 5 years, and transmission fluid services every 60,000 to 100,000 miles all follow the same pattern. Predictable intervals, high margins, and an appointment structure that lets the shop plan its workflow in advance. Locking in 300 to 400 loyal maintenance customers provides a reliable flow of monthly revenue that covers fixed costs, even when the expensive engine jobs are slow. During an economic downturn, and the automotive service industry has lived through several, customers stop buying new cars. They hold on to the ones they have, and they maintain them more carefully. This is why auto repair is considered relatively recession-resistant. People who cannot afford a new car still need their old one to get to work. Every part sitting on a shelf in your parts room is money that is not in your bank account. This is the inventory problem, and it quietly destroys cash flow at shops that do not manage it carefully. A working workshop carries filters in many sizes, pads in dozens of applications, belts, sensors, spark plugs, batteries, hoses, fluids. The vehicle count in the United States spans thousands of unique model and year combinations, and what fits a 2019 Honda fits nothing else. Parts that are specific to uncommon vehicles sit on shelves for months, depreciating in value, taking up physical space, and representing capital that cannot be used for payroll or equipment. Overstock the wrong things, and you strangle your cash flow. Understock fast-moving items, and you create a different problem entirely. When a technician puts a car up on a lift, tears it apart, and then discovers the replacement part needs to be ordered and will arrive in 4 hours, that lift is dead for 4 hours. The car cannot come down safely. The bay produces zero revenue while the shop's fixed overhead, rent, utilities, insurance, wages, continues accumulating every hour. The solution is a combination of on-site stocking for high-turnover items, bulk oil, filters, brake pads in the most common applications, batteries, combined with electronic links to regional warehouse distributors who can deliver specialty parts within 1 to 2 hours. This requires solid supplier relationships and a shop management software system that tracks inventory levels, ordering history, and parts to labor profitability in real time. Beyond the obvious line items of rent and wages, a functioning workshop bleeds money through a long list of costs that new owners routinely underestimate: electricity. A commercial workshop runs hydraulic lifts, three-phase air compressors, welding equipment, paint-curing lamps, lighting across a large floor space, and heating or cooling for both the shop floor and customer areas. Monthly electricity bills at a full-size workshop can run several $1,000s. Insurance. A workshop requires commercial general liability coverage for accidents on the property, plus a specialized endorsement called Garage Keeper's Legal Liability, which covers damage to a customer's vehicle while it is in the shop's care. Without this, a single fire, an accidental spark near a fuel line, for instance, could result in liability for multiple customer vehicles valued at tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars combined. Automotive businesses pay elevated rates for this coverage. Waste disposal. Used engine oil, brake fluid, coolant, old batteries, paint booth filters, and chemical solvents all qualify as hazardous waste under federal and state regulations. Licensed waste management contractors must remove and document the disposal of these materials. The manifests, the legal paperwork proving compliant disposal, must be retained. A shop that disposes of waste oil improperly faces fines that can reach into the tens of thousands of dollars per violation. Software subscriptions. Modern shop management requires monthly subscriptions to repair information databases like AllData or Mitchell 1, which provide wiring diagrams, component locations, labor time estimates, and technical service bulletins. These subscriptions cost between $150 and $300 or more dollars per technician seat per month. Marketing. A workshop with no digital presence in 2026 is largely invisible to the customers it needs most. Maintaining a Google business profile, generating consistent customer reviews, running occasional paid digital advertising, and keeping a functional website all represent real monthly costs. The shops that ignore this find their customer acquisition slowing as competitors with stronger online reputations capture the walk-in and search-driven traffic. Most workshop failures are not dramatic. There is no single catastrophic event. There is a slow accumulation of small management errors, each one individually survivable, that eventually compound into a business that cannot pay its bills. The most common pattern begins with poor bookkeeping. The owner, frequently an excellent mechanic who built the shop on the strength of their technical skill, treats the business bank account as a combined business and personal account. When the balance is healthy, money flows freely. When a large expense hits, like a hydraulic lift that needs major service, or a technician who quits and must be replaced with someone who needs weeks of onboarding, there is no reserve to absorb it. Then there is the pricing problem. Many shops set their labor rates by looking at what nearby competitors charge, rather than by calculating what their own cost structure actually requires. This is how a shop ends up charging $120 an hour in a city where the fully burdened cost of their technicians is $80 an hour, the parts margins are under pressure from customers who check prices online, and the overhead runs $60,000 a month. The math looks okay until one slow month revealed that okay was never actually okay. It was just survivable. The approximately 50% of small automotive repair businesses that fail within their first 5 years are not undone by a lack of demand. Cars keep breaking, people keep needing them fixed. What fails these businesses is the gap between being a good mechanic and being a competent business operator. Two entirely different skill sets. Here is the realistic math on a mid-sized American workshop. The kind with 6 bays, 3 full-time technicians, a service advisor, and a parts counter. A shop of this size, operating at the industry average throughput of 2.2 vehicles per bay per day, 5 days a week, processes roughly 286 vehicles per month. At an average repair order value of $350, that generates approximately $100,000 in monthly revenue. On the optimistic side, assume that shop operates at 90% technician efficiency, maintains a 60% gross margin on labor, a 50% gross margin on parts, and carefully controls its overhead. After paying for rent at $6,000 to $8,000 monthly, technician wages and full labor burden across 3 technicians at roughly $20,000 monthly combined, insurance, utilities, software subscriptions, supplies, and marketing, a well-run shop of this size keeps somewhere between 15 and 20% as net profit. That translates to between $15,000 and $20,000 per month in owner earnings, or between $180,000 and $240,000 annually. On the realistic side, assume one technician runs at 70% efficiency due to parts delays and workflow bottlenecks. Assume one slow month where a local competitor runs a promotion and volume drops 15%. Assume one major warranty comeback that requires a free engine reseal that costs the shop $4,000 in labor and parts. Now the margin drops to somewhere between 8 and 12%. Annual owner earnings fall to somewhere between $96,000 and $144,000. Still comfortable, but not the effortless wealth that the six-figure revenue number suggested. The difference between a good year and a bad year at a single mid-size workshop is somewhere around $100,000. That gap is entirely determined by technician efficiency, management discipline, and customer retention, not by the number of cars in the community that need fixing, yes. But it depends entirely on which version of the business you build. A single-owner, two-bay shop provides a good living for a skilled mechanic. It does not build generational wealth because the income stops the moment the owner stops working. If the owner is sick, the revenue is sick with them. The first real wealth-building model starts at 4 to 8 bays with employed technicians. The owner steps back from wrenching and manages the business, overseeing technician efficiency, building fleet maintenance contracts with local delivery companies and tradespeople, investing in customer retention programs. Shops at this level, run with discipline, can generate net earnings of $180,000 to $240,000 annually for the owner. The level above that is the specialty model, a supercar servicing shop, a high-end tuning operation, or an electric vehicle specialist. These businesses keep fewer customers but charge dramatically more per visit. A Porsche specialist in a wealthy suburb of London or Los Angeles does not compete on price. It competes on exclusivity and expertise, and its margins reflect that. But the model that has made the most people genuinely wealthy in this industry is multi-location ownership. A business owner who opens a second location and can share administrative overhead, purchasing power with part suppliers, and brand recognition across both shops immediately improves the economics of both. By the third location, the owner has a management company, not a repair shop. The money comes from the system, not from the labor. It would be dishonest to describe the economics of an automobile workshop without discussing the thing that keeps every shop owner awake at some point. Electric vehicles. The entire service model of a traditional workshop is built on internal combustion engines. Engine oil needs changing. Spark plugs wear out, timing belts snap, exhaust systems rust. These failures, multiplied across millions of vehicles, generate the constant stream of repair work that workshop economics depend on. An electric vehicle has none of those things. No oil, no spark plugs, no timing belt, no exhaust. Brake wear is dramatically reduced because regenerative braking does most of the slowing. The high-frequency maintenance services that bring customers back repeatedly. The oil changes that anchor the service relationship simply do not exist. What electric vehicles do require is specialized training and equipment that most current workshops do not have. Working on high-voltage battery systems requires insulated tools rated to 1,000 volts or higher, specialized personal protective equipment, dedicated safety protocols, and formal high-voltage certification. An uncertified technician attempting to work on one of these systems risks a fatal electrical injury. The shops adapting to this shift are investing in those certifications and tools now, while the electric vehicle share of the fleet is still relatively small, so they build the expertise before the market demands it. The shops ignoring it are betting that the transition moves slowly enough that they can adapt later. History does not favor that bet. Owning an automobile workshop is not a passive investment. It is not a simple trade business. It is a complex operational enterprise that requires simultaneous mastery of technical knowledge, people management, inventory control, financial discipline, and customer relationship strategy. The barrier to entry is high and rising. Equipment costs climb every year. Technician wages are rising faster than labor productivity. Vehicle technology is evolving in ways that require continuous retraining and equipment upgrades. The regulatory environment, environmental compliance, consumer protection, data security for digital vehicle systems, adds administrative complexity that did not exist for the previous generation of shop owners, and yet the demand has never been more reliable. The average age of a vehicle on American roads is now higher than at any point in recorded automotive history. Older vehicles need more service more frequently. The 160,000 auto repair establishments in the United States are serving a vehicle fleet that needs them. The money is absolutely there. The workshops that will capture that money over the next decade will not necessarily be the ones with the most skilled mechanics. They will be the ones with the most disciplined operations. The ones that track their technician efficiency daily, price their labor and parts based on real cost structures rather than competitor guessing, build genuine customer relationships through transparent digital communication, adapt to electric vehicle technology before it becomes unavoidable, and treat their shop not as a place where cars get fixed, but as a business that happens to fix cars. Cars will always break. Technology will always evolve. The workshops that survive will not necessarily be the best mechanics. They will be the best business.